This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, good. So good evening. We pick up at the start of chapter 3 of part 1, right? Perek Shlishi of Chelek Aleph. And so far we dealt in Perek Aleph, the first chapter, with the essence of God as much as we can understand within the parameters that are given to us. And then Perek Sheni, the second Perek, dealt with the Tachlit HaOlam, Tachlit HaBriya, the purpose of creation, which leads us to chapter 3, B'min HaEnoshi, right? Translated as man. But I feel that that helps to exclude 50% of the population. So instead of man, let's call it B'min HaEnoshi, let's call it humankind.
Right.
Okay,
It is.
mankind or humankind. What is this species, this min of Enoshi, of humankind? And he begins. Kvar Zacharnu, we've already discussed, we mentioned. Heyo Adam Ota Habriya. Right? We discussed that the purpose of creation. Good evening, Judy. And also to Michael, even if we don't see him, I don't want him to feel left out. I know he gets insulted. And good evening, Michael, even though we don't see you on the screen. So we already discussed the purpose of creation. The purpose of creation was to enable there to be this createe, this being that is created, which has the ability, the potential to connect to God, and thereby God is able to give, hello Michael, God is able to give that full tov, that full goodness, which is the connection to God. And also we discussed the idea of the person owning it, having deserved it, having earned it. He then becomes the Baalim, the owner of it, and then and only then can he fully enjoy that. Because God doesn't do anything part way. If he wants to give out good, he wants to give out the epitome of good. And the epitome of good is God himself. And he wants it to be given out in a way that it can be enjoyed to the utmost. And enjoyment to the utmost is only when we feel that we have earned it, that it is ours, it is rightfully ours. So Kvar Zacharnu, we've already mentioned, discussed. Hayot Ha'adam, that humankind is Ota Habriya, is that creation Hanivrait, which was created, Lidabek Bo, Yitbarech Shemo, to cling, to connect, to have that incredible closeness to him, capital H, blessed is his name. Vihi hamutelet, and is mankind that is placed, that is juxtaposed, bein hashleimut v'hachesronot, between perfection, shleimut, completion, and chesronot, deficiency, lacking. V'hayicholet biyado, and we are given that ability, that opportunity, liknot hashleimut, to acquire this shleimut, this perfection. V'ulam, sarich sheyezeh b'bechirato uritzono. This acquisition of perfection, this transformation of ourselves that allows us, that enables us to have this ultimate closeness to God, has to be bibechirato, with our choice, uritzono, and our will, our desire. Ki'ilu hayamuchrach b'masav, if we would be forced, compelled, liot bocher, to choose, al kol pani b'shleimut, if we have to choose the shleimut, lo haya nikra be'emet ba'al shleimuto, we would not be the true owners of that shleimut. We would not be the master of that shleimut. It wouldn't be real. It's like a parent telling a child, say thank you, say thank you. The kid says, thank you. right? So they're not the owner of that thanks. They're not the ones who are expressing that gratitude. It is the compeller that is expressing that gratitude via the child. And that would not be enough. That would not make us the Baal Shleimut. There does exist, and we'll come to this much later on in the Sefer, the idea of malachim, angels. Angels are spiritual beings, unlike a neshama, a soul, that is a spiritual being that is destined to partner with a physical body. Malachim are simply messengers. They're told to do, and they do. And therefore, they do not have this bechira, this free will. And they will not have this closeness to God because they are not the owners, the masters of their perfection. If we were forced, if we were compelled to choose this perfection, to make these positive choices, we would not be considered the masters of this. We're not the masters. Since there was an outer compulsion, liknoto, to acquire it, to do it. V'hamaknehu, and the one who is compelling us is the Baal Shleimut, is the true master of that perfection. Like when a parent compels a child to say thank you, the one who's really the master of that gratitude, the one who's really expressing the gratitude is the parent, not the child. So we can't be compelled if the goal is that we be the masters of it. In that case, then God's kavanah, divine intent, will that we should be the true masters of it, would not be fulfilled. Al kain, therefore, huchrach sheyunach hadavar lebechirato. Therefore, it was imperative that the matter be left to our free will. Shetiyeh netiyato shkula lishnei atzdadim. Our inclination, our lean, goes equally lishnei hatzdadim, to the two sides. V'lo muchrachat le'echad mehem. We're not forced to go this way or that way. V'yebo koach ha'bechira, and that way we have complete free will. Livchor, to choose. Bidat, with thinking, with contemplation. U'vechefetz, and with will. Be'ezeh mehem sheyirtza, with whichever one we want. You know, the pasuk says in the beginning of the Torah, by creation, it says, Na'aseh Adam, let us make man. And Rashi there comments that we know, God knew that in our world, the Christians are going to go bonkers on this one. Oh, Na'aseh Adam. So you see, it's God and his partners, because God is, and that whole slippery slope that they go off of over there with the Trinity. And Rashi said Hashem knew that was going to happen, but the lesson that is coming to teach us is important enough that even though people will slip off with this, the Torah needs to teach us powerful, fundamental lessons. Those who want to twist will always find something to twist. But those who are not looking to twist will have these powerful lessons. And one of the powerful lessons in Na'aseh Adam is, yes, it is a partnership. Who is it a partnership between? God and me. That's the partnership in making me. And God and you, that is the partnership in making you. Na'aseh Adam. Together, let us make man. we, in conjunction with our partner in heaven, we create the Adam, the person that we are, by the choices that we make. It's those choices that create the type of human being, the type of servant of God or none, whatever it is, the type of Adam that I am. And therefore, we have this full control on that. We have to have the free will to choose whichever path we want to take, whatever we want to make ourselves into. And we also need to have the ability to acquire whichever one we want. Al-Kain. And therefore, Nivra Adam, mankind, humankind was created, B'yetzer Tov, Uv'yetzer Ra. We have pulls to do good, and we have pulls, temptations to do things that are not the best things for ourselves and others. V'abechira biyado, and the free will is there, biyado, in our hands, latot atzmo, to tilt ourselves, to incline ourselves, to position ourselves, direct ourselves better, l'tzad shehu rotzeh, to whichever side we decide to go. That is our choice. I wonder if I can make the Hebrew English side by side instead of top bottom.
No need. If you make a mistake, I'll correct you.
I know, but there are some people, Uzi, who might do better. Let me try this. I think that will be helpful to many of us. Okay. I think, is that better? Right? So now everyone can follow Hebrew, English, whichever way you are most suited. And Uzi, I give you full permission to ignore the English or to make comments that you think it might be better otherwise. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you.
Ulam, heyot. Okay, so I don't actually, in my sieve, I don't have the heading that's over here. Okay, the heading is Harkavat Haguf Haneshama, the joining or the partnership of guf, of body, and neshama, and soul. And that is a unique aspect of humankind. Animals have a body, and part of their physical body is what we call a living spirit, but it's not a neshama. A neshama is a separate entity that joins up with the physical body. And the spiritual realm, the angels, they've got their spirituality without a guf. Harkavat haguf haneshama, this joining together of body and soul, that is unique to humankind. Ulam, and he explains, Heyot hadavar hazeh nishlam kara'oi. In order for this matter that we just discussed to be achieved properly, Gazra hachachma elyona, this divine wisdom, this highest wisdom decreed, Shia Adam Murkav, that humankind needs to be this composite, Mishnei Hafachim, from two opposites. Interesting, Murkav means almost to be like riding, right?
No, assembled.
Assembled. Okay, Mishnei Hafachim, Dahainu, which is Meineshama Sichlit Vizaka, a pure spiritual neshama, soul, viguf, and a body, artziyi, physical, va'achur, and unenlightened, Shekol echad mehem yiteh b'teva litzido, and each one will have its natural inclination. Each one will be drawn towards its teva, its nature. Dahainu, meaning haguf l'chamriut, the body is pulled towards physicality. It's pulled towards materialism, that which is the physical. V'haneshama l'sichliut, whereas the neshama, the soul, is pulled towards the spiritual. V'tzimatzei v'nehem milchama, and what results is a bit of a battle. Ba'ofen, in the manner, she'im tigbar haneshama, if the soul is overpowering, tit'alehi, the soul gets lifted up, ascends, uta'aleh haguf ima, and the body is pulled along with it. We'll explain that further in a moment. And this will be a person who will attain this perfection in the shleimut hamutad, of this destiny, perfection that is available for that person. That is what this person will attain. Interesting how he words it. If the person will allow that the physicality will be the winner, the driving force. Interesting. When he spoke about the spiritual, he said, Im tigbar haneshama, if the neshama will have that gevurah, that strength. And when it comes to the opposite way, it's more of if you'll allow it to happen. Right? It's interesting. That's the concept that if we're not pushing to be better, if we're staying the same, then actually we are declining. And a thought that I once had, everything in the world, in the physical world, we say is a reflection of what's happening in the spiritual world. And in the physical world, we have this concept, this power called gravity, which means it takes effort to go up, right? Otherwise, we just get pulled down, right? As we get older, gravity has taken its toll over the years, right? That is, the natural state is to be pulled down, and we need to exert ourselves in order to ascend. So the im yaniach adam, if a man will not make the effort, then what happens is sheinatzach bo hachomer, the physicality, that is powerful, that starts to prevail. Hine, behold, yishpal haguf, then the body will become degraded, lowered, but tishpal nishmato imo, and the neshama, the soul, will also be dragged down with it. Ye'oto adam biltei hagun l'shleimut, and such a person will be unfit, biltei hagun, unfit for this perfection. V'nidcheh mimenu, and be pushed from it. Chas v'shalom. However, v'la'adam hazeh, but this person will still have hayicholet, the ability, lahashpil chamro, to reverse that trend, to cast down, to lower that the importance of the physicality, of the material, lifnei, to humble it before sichlo v'nishmato, the spiritual and the soul. The liknot shleimuto k'moshe zacharnu, and to achieve this shleimut that we have mentioned. Now, 2 points I want to add in over here. Judaism does not speak about, spirituality. Let me leave everyone behind. I'm going to go onto a mountaintop and I'm going to get into this Zen-like state as I meditate. The choice of spirituality is within this physical world that we live. And it's called mikadesh, that we sanctify. We don't do prishut. We don't separate ourselves. We're involved and we make it holy. That's why a point I always like to make. 2 things which Judaism calls kadosh, holy, are 2 areas that the other great religions prohibit. Islam, any alcoholic beverages are prohibited. And we make kiddush. The root of the word kiddush is kedusha, is holiness. We make kiddush over a cup of wine to usher in the Shabbat, to escort the Shabbat out with Havdalah. If we're at a wedding, the blessing is made over the wine. If we're at a brit, or pidyon ben, a circumcision or redemption of the firstborn, it's always made over a cup of wine. It is sanctifying, not saying, no, I can't. It's being involved and lifting it up and making it holy. And the other area is marriage. The other area is marriage that we call kiddushin. And that, according to Christianity, Catholicism, I don't have all the details, whatever it is, but that is an allowance for those who are unable to control their urges. And we say, on the contrary, that is kedusha. The holiness of a marriage is in the intimacy, in the physical intimacy that a couple enjoy together. There is holiness there. If our house is like a Beit HaMikdash, is like a temple, the bedroom is the Kodesh Kadashim. The bedroom is the Holy of Holies. So it's not, when we say we're choosing the spiritual, we're not talking about shunning this world and I fast every day. No, we don't become ascetics. Choosing the spiritual means finding and bringing out the spiritual in all that we do. And another point I wanted to add in, when he spoke about if we choose spiritual, then we go up and our body goes up also. And also conversely, if we choose badly, the body goes down, as does the neshama. So Rav Dessler, one of the great ethicists, Bali Musar, explains the idea of nekudat habechira. Nekuda is a point, bechira is our free will. And wherever a person is, draw that point. Make that point, and then draw a circle around it. And where I am over here, that upper range is as much as I can consider. More than that, that's not for me. That's for, I don't know, that's for the rabbis. That's for the, that's not for me. And similarly, if you go down to the lower part of that circle, that's what they would consider doing. But beneath that, no. That I wouldn't do. That's going too far. And then a person makes a decision, and we're making decisions constantly throughout our day. And now, I made a positive decision. I decide I'm going to go to Minyan this morning. Now, beforehand, my circle was over here, and maybe I'll go 2-3 times a week. Right? Every day? No way. You go one day, interesting. That was a nice way to start the day. All of a sudden, that which was beyond my circle, I just redrew my circle. And that which was, there's no way I can do that. all of a sudden that enters the realm of possibility. And something that I would have considered before, I've gone up above that. Every decision that we make repositions that point, redraws the circle, and we're either going up, considering things we never considered before, and ruling out other things, or going in the opposite direction and ruling out things that, oh, that's too much for me. But all of a sudden, I would consider maybe something in the lower realm. And to a degree, that aligns with what Ramchal is saying over here. When we choose something, if we choose negatively, our neshama loses some of its luster, and our body also, the material pulls, becomes stronger and more entertainable. And when we choose take a spiritual step, then all of a sudden we have reignited. We have caused greater illumination from that neshama, that soul, and the body's also lifted up, and the decisions, they go in tandem, constantly up and back. Let's continue to part 3. And feel free, please, anybody wants to speak up.
I only
Okay.
was what you said as far as the Judaism, as far as combining physical and the spiritual. That's why whenever we eat anything, we do a blessing. We make a blessing. Even when we go to the bathroom, before or after, we make a blessing. When we see a beautiful girl, there's a blessing for that. When we see, the ocean,
or a beautiful person,
we make
not
a
a beautiful girl, right? A beautiful person. There's a blessing.
Yeah. Well, for me, it's a girl. No, a person, right. Anyway, that's the point, that we are combining the spiritual and the physical and sanctifying it. That's the key.
Yeah, that is, yes. Va'amnam, gazar tuvo yitvarach shemo. God's goodness decreed. Sheyeh gevul lahishtadlut hazeh. Hamitztarech la'adam la'asig hashleimut. There will be a limit, a boundary for this time of effort, of mankind's effort. Hamitztarech, that will give the amount of time necessary la'adam, for a person, lahasig hashleimut, to attain this shleimut, this fullness, this perfection. Ukesheheshlim ishtadluto, and once this period of the effort has been completed, yasig shleimuto, he will then attain this perfection, v'yanuach b'hana'ato, and he will then enjoy this, he will be then in this state of enjoyment, l'netzach nitzachim, for all eternity. So there's a limit to the period of the earning, but the reward, the gain from that earning, is unlimited. That is eternal. Al kain, therefore, huchaku lo shnei zmanim. Therefore, there was carved out, there was created, there was ordained shnei zmanim, 2 distinct time periods. Echad, one being zman ha'avodah, the time for the work, for the earning. The echad zman kibul hasachar, and the other is the time for the receiving of that reward. Let's do one little paragraph that we'll discuss this for a moment. Ve'ulam midat hatov merubeh. We have a general rule that the midah of tova, the midah, the attribute, that which pertains to the good, meruba, is always greater than the other. And that applies beautifully over here. Sha'avodah yesh la zman mechukak. The period of the earning, of the work, of the toil, that is very, very set, that is limited. Kamosha Gazra, how long? What Chachmatoid Barach Shemo, what God's divine wisdom decreed, Heyoto Naot Lazeh, as being fitting for that person. And for each person, it is different. And this actually, I'll digress for a moment, gives us a whole different view of how we view death and how we view what we call a premature or a tragic death. And that is, every person is given the amount of time that they need to accomplish what they are meant to accomplish. For some people, it's 120 years. For some people, it's far less than that. Every person is given, but if we understand that death is the transition from this stage to the next stage, and I'll go into detail about that transition and the different stages. If we'll understand that death is the transition to that stage, which actually is the purpose stage. This is the preparatory stage, and that is the fulfillment purpose stage. Then, of course, we are locked into this world. So all we see is our loss, and we cry and we lament, and that's perfectly legitimate, and we're supposed to, because we only see things through our human eyes. But if we view it from a very pure, calculated Torah perspective, that person needed less time in the preparatory stage. A person is brilliant and graduates college after 2 years. We don't mourn the 2 years the person missed. We say, oh, they didn't need more than the 2 years of college, and now they moved on to the next stage. And that is Gazra Chachmatoy Baruch Shemo, that the wisdom decreed, Heyoto Naot Lazeh, the amount of time that is fitting for that. The Kibul HaSachar, that is very, very set. That has its boundary. The Kibul HaSachar, but the place of receiving the reward, Ein Lo Tachlit, that has no limit. Ela L'netzach Mitzachim, but rather for all eternity, Hu Mitaneg, the person as getting this pleasure, V'holech B'shleimut, from this perfection that the person Asher Kanalo, that the person has acquired. Now, if many of you are like me, you might be wondering or having the same issue that I'm having. I love a good vacation. But after a little while, I need to be doing more. I need to be doing. And after a period of time, I'm itching to get back into my chair and to be doing. I can't just have a vacation that long. So all of a sudden, this idea of this pleasure for eternity, oh my gosh, I'm not going to be doing anything. I'm just going to be basking in the pleasure. Not for a week, not for a month, not for a year, not for a century, but nonstop. It seems awkward. It seems uncomfortable. But we are built, and this will go into next week. We are constructed at each stage to be best suited for that stage. And in this stage, we say, Adam la'amel yulad. Yes, a person was born la'amel, to toil, to do. And when we're doing, we feel productive and we feel energized and we can do more. And when we don't, we feel sluggish. And it's even harder for us to do anything. Because this is the world that we are programmed, that we are constructed, I should say, in such a manner, because this is Olam HaAsiyah. This is the world of doing. This is the world where we must be doing. And therefore, it's compared, a person is given a certain amount of time that you can go into this massive department store, and anything that you pull out within 45 minutes is yours to keep. So the person's energized. They run into the store and they start loading up carts and shoving them out the door. Right? They don't get to the bedding section and say, "Oh, that looks like a really comfortable mattress. Let me check out that mattress. Ooh, this is really comfy." And pull over some pillows. Wow, this is great. The person says, "I got 45 minutes. I've got to grab all that I can. I've got to do all that I can." So in this world, which is built for this, that is why we are wired. We are constructed in a manner that if we're just sitting around too long, it wears us out. We get sluggish. We get more tired as opposed to getting rested. That's the Olam HaSiyah. And that is unique and is limited to this world. In the next world, we will be constructed in a manner that is fitting for that world. And that is without this drive to do, but there it is, this connection and this perfection and this embrace, this intimate embrace. So if you, like I, get a little tired out when not doing, recognize, and therefore netzach nitzachim, eternity sounds like a problem, something that's a little bit difficult for us. Recognize that is who we are, how we are in this first of the two stages. And
Ram,
again, this one is limited, but the oneg that follows, that is eternal. Yes, Uzi.
I was just gonna refer to the word mitaneg, right? So you're going to be able to enjoy the perfection you attained in this world. And what's the enjoyment? The enjoyment will be the same feeling of doing without doing. In other words, without having to go to work, you will have that feeling. So you don't
Yeah,
have to work anymore, but you will have the same feeling.
if we'll have that same sense of accomplishment. I
Right,
don't know if
right.
it'll be the same feeling, but we'll have that same sense of accomplishment. When we do what we're meant to be doing in this world, we have this sense of accomplishment. We'll have that same sense of accomplishment when we're doing what we're meant to be doing in that next stage.
Okay.
Okay. And then, and we'll pick up next week with the changes that humankind has gone through and how that affects the different stages that happen as we make our way from stages from this world stage to the next world stage. That will be next week.
Shakov.
Okay, my friends, I'm going to
Perfect
sign off over here and
Thank
go
you,
run
Rabbi.
tomorrow.
See you
Okay.
tomorrow, Rabbi.
Bye-bye.
Good learning with everybody. Laila Tov, Laila Tov. Good night, everybody.
Take care.